The arms have to win the golf swing race when it comes to the sequence. One of the most damaging things that happens to way too many golfers, it stems from mechanics, sequence, and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of times it's intention. What I'm talking about is when we swing to the top, if we haven't quite got enough sort of momentum behind us here, what tends to happen is, whether it's a lack of proper sequencing or just a little bit of panic, we often get to the top and we lunge the upper body. We're so eager to hit back down and swing that way. And crappy shots come in all shapes and sizes from there because we don't have time, the sequence isn't correct, and we're not using momentum. So what do we do instead? One of the best tips I've ever been able to give people is a sensation of heavy arms. What that does, it almost encourages and forces an intention to not really use the body quite so much, especially the upper body, to make our way back at the ball, because that's what causes over the top. But the cue that works very, very well is heavy arms. Just that thought, that feel of heavy arms really promotes a better sequence. I'm going to explain that, but also how to win the race and why it's important. Before I tell you how to really utilize the heavy arm sensation, let me explain what I mean with the winning the race. We make a backswing and everyone thinks, well, we've got to shift the hips, start moving down, shallow the club or whatever it is, and we end up getting stuck like this. We're trying to shallow, then they start getting the body in top, but we're over the top, the arms are being flung out. That can only really work if we've, got shorter arms than our height, for one thing, our wingspan. Like if we've got slightly shorter arms, it's easier to get more on the inside. There's going to be a lot more where we're going to talk about the 3 different swing types in future lesson. But for now, I want you to just be aware that when we get to the top of the swing, what's moving it? There has to be some kind of sequence. And this is how you're going to realize it. Get a club, swing to the top. Now, I want you to move everything at the same time. So I want the body to get back at the ball, but I'm keeping in relationship my arms in the same sort of area of space. How do I get back at the ball? I then now have to, very late, throw those hands down at the ball, like that. It's pretty difficult. And obviously at speed, we're going to get over the top, or we're going to flip and stall, which is one of the main sort of swing faults that people struggle with for years. Let me ask you this. From a setup, what travels further? Is it the body? Does the body travel further? Or does the club head? Does the hands travel further to get back here? Whether you realize it or not, the club head, the arms have to travel further. If we kept everything in the same sort of sequence and same distance, as it were, getting from the ball, the arms would only ever get to here. So the arms have to travel a little bit further for a full swing at least, okay? They do travel further naturally. If I was to throw the club, I wouldn't be throwing the club like this. If I was throwing a ball, I wouldn't be throwing the ball like this. The arms would travel further to create that leverage. That's a natural movement. But if we don't reverse that action with the arms traveling down a little bit further, if they all match at the same time, we are left all the way back here, open, arms high up, and we are toast. So what I want you to do is realize when we make a backswing, the arms have to travel a little bit further down, then the body catches up. So it's going to feel more throw to here, then the body catches up. That alone is going to give you a much, much more natural and easier sequence to swing through. It's going to be effortless because you're doing it on the backswing. It's just we get so eager and think we've got to hit hard. I've got to rotate open this way. I've got to, really force my body through. And that's when the big carvy cuts come in. That's when strain on the body comes in. So with that in mind, how do we really emphasize it? And this is where the heavy arms comes into play. Does this make sense? Did you get up and try it and realize that the arms do have to travel a little bit further on the backswing and on the downswing? Let me know in the comments. The beauty of the heavy arms concept is it really simplifies it. It's just a very easy goal to understand. When we start talking about sequences and all that kind of stuff, and I've got to, delay, then throw, then turn through, it's very difficult to play. Yes, we can practice it, we can sort of work on those movements nice and slowly, but it's very difficult to apply that quickly, especially out on the golf course. And that's why I've found the cue of heavy arms to work wonders, because it kind of does the same thing without anywhere near as much sort of thought going into it. And the heavy arms is basically that. We're taking our setup, but I want you to have it in mind that the club weighs an absolute ton, that my arms are sort of like wet spaghetti or something. And it doesn't mean like overly loose, but just this feel that the arms are heavy, that I'm starting the momentum. I'm using my body pivot to throw the arms back. I'm not trying to place them there with the arms in themselves. And by having the arms looser, we tend to see less manipulation. It does actually become more paramount to have a better, more reliable setup to encourage a better pivot. And we've got other videos on that, but that is important to mention. So we're going to take our backswing, but we're going to feel this, the arms just weigh a lot, however that interprets to you. And that's the beauty of it. I can't just tell you exactly what to feel, but I want you to really try and find that thought process of, okay, what does heavy arms mean to me? What does that mean? It's going to be more like the dog wagging the tail, okay? The arms are heavy. I start them in motion and they carry on in motion. As soon as I add tension, or as soon as I'm too light with them, we can lose that bit of connection and we sort of end up being stuck here. So the heavy arms, try it with one arm first, just throwing it back, throwing that club back, working on the rotation, letting the legs go, letting the hips go, and then the arms carry on. And now the heavy feel of just, they're dropping, they're heavy. It weighs an absolute ton. And we just basically respond to that feeling of heaviness, and now we react to it. We're not just trying to control everything, we are just reacting to a heavy, heavy, heavy swing through. And yeah, that was a little bit exaggerated, but it was a beautiful strike. That was an effortless swing of just allowing those arms to flow a little bit more. It was a nice strike. It felt easy. I could do it all day long. And it works for pitch shots. It works for drives. But I'm working on a heavy feeling of these arms as I swing back. And now I trust that I can throw them back down, start that sequence, throw it back here, and then collect through. It's as simple as that. So I really want you to embrace this concept of heavy arms, but really understand that, especially when we get to, say, a driver, that all the way down there with a longer shaft has a lot further to travel, from all the way back here. Even if you've got a short-ish swing, it doesn't matter. If I just move the body and not the arms, I'm all the way up here, and you think, well, that's where I need to be, that's where the pros are. They're exceptionally fast, flexible, they're able to get the side bends, and you see, well, yeah, that's perfect, that's where I need to be. That is not going to work for 99% of you. One, because of limb length. If you've got longer arms, like I do, compared to my height, we get stuck out here, but it's too difficult to repeat. So we have to be aware that this has got to travel further. So how do I do it? The arms feel heavy, and I trust that I can throw them down, start the movement this way, and then swing through. And the bonus is that release, that sequence, is going to give you the effortless power. Whether it's with driver, whether it's with A-time, it's going to be much easier. So there we have it. Get your sequence right. Throw the arms down to win the race. And that heavy arm feel, it's going to benefit everything. And it does also work, the heavy arms does also work when you're just hitting little pitch shots, because we can get too tense and rigid here, okay? And we're trying to force the body through. We want to feel the weight of the club. It doesn't mean that we're hardly holding it, but the arms feel heavy. I use momentum and I chip and pitch through. It feels right, it feels easy, it feels more natural. So there we have it. Give that a try. Let me know if you have any questions. Now, if you really want to improve the compression that you're getting on the shots with just one tiny change, this lesson is going to help you perfectly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.